What's up guys, this is Scher talking, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, we'll be talking about the second banner announced today, Romancing Festival Schiele. Well, Schiele is a mage that uses martial arts weapon and is a debuffer, but also a farmer with her buffs in global. Zing is a bow user that just deals lots of damage and it's good for long fights. And then there's Golden Ball, a support for resistance. Okay, let's go straight out to Reddit. In this post by Hands43, we can check everything about the characters. The first one, Schiele, she has 118% agility and 123% intelligence. She got a 20% buff to agility, and that's pretty welcome, because of the recent boss fights, Firebringer and Water Dragon having very high action order, or sometimes they can also buff agility, meaning that your debuffer may sometimes fail to debuff the enemy before it attacks. Now Schiele will have such a high agility that this will likely not happen, at least to her. If she debuffs the enemy first, then you have very good chances of surviving that particular turn. She also has 88% endurance and 98% will, and those values will go higher because she can self-buff. Now, she has 30% increase in damage at all times. This was changed from JP only 20. And she got a new chase. When she attacks, now she chases twice. That's right. Every time she attacks, she chases with Incense and her skill number 2. Incense is an AoE E-power attack that can debuff intelligence by 10% on rank 1. And the second skill is an AoE E-power, this time shadow attack, that can debuff intelligence by 10% on rank 1 as a chase. When you use it as a command, it will debuff intelligence by 15% on max level. That already means that she can debuff intelligence by 25% when using skill number 2, and you get a chase. That's already the max value that you can get with ScherBR, with her skill with Streak, and getting her chase. So, at least on this part, they are both equal, but Schiele always chases. If you want, you can also use Incense as your main skill, because this comes from her free welfare style that you can get from Romancing Shop, so you can decide to debuff, for example, 25% STR, and then 10% intelligence, or 25% intelligence, then 10% STR. Now, when she's on Overdrive, she also gets a free chase. That is her skill number 3. That's an AoE power attack, just Shadow this time. Power, it's not that strong for the cost, but before attacking she heals everyone's by around 300, then she attacks, with a chance to debuff the enemy's dexterity and intelligence. As a chase from Overdrive, this values will be 15%. As a command on level 99, it's 20%, meaning that if you use this on Overdrive and you get a chase, you can debuff those two values by 35%. That's a very big value, and it can help you survive some very specific turns. Now, she also has something amazing. When she attacks, she buffs all of her status by 15% and gets 1 extra BP. She also gets 2 extra BP by the end of turn. Well, she will always attack at least 3 times per turn, or 4 times on Overdrive. That means that she gets at least 8 and 9 on Overdrive. And when she's attacking 3 times, she's buffing her status by 45%. And on Overdrive, 60%. All of her status, meaning that she will receive very low damage, will not get applied by ailments usually, will have very high agility, but her agility is already high enough. Higher intelligence means that she will never fail to land ailments as well, or debuffs. Well, she can land ailments via her inheritance options, but those are not that important right now in the game since we can barely apply ailments, but debuffs are important in the current game. Now, she decreases damage taken by only 25%, but like I said, since she buffs so much, it's good enough. Even if the enemy removes your buffs, this will not pose a problem. Now, skill number 1 is now buffing global as well. You use it to cost 5 EP, it's now free. It's support and it clears all status buffs, debuffs, and status ailments for all enemies and allies. This is interesting because this is like zero ground. Imagine that you are in a fight where the boss removes your buffs anyway every turn, but it debuffs you and self-buffs. You can use this skill every turn if you want it, for example, or every 2 turns. Some bosses like the Water Dragon use cycles of every 2 turns. You can use this to stop everything and then use someone else to do damage. We run ScherBR usually to buff break, but there's many other characters that can do as well. And that means that if you don't have Esper. This is a very good alternative, but in this case, she's not a debuffer. You need someone else to debuff. But there are plenty of debuffers right now in the game, so that's interesting, but it's also not her main gameplay. You can just forget that the skills exists if you want and just do damage and debuff. Now, there's something else about the character. Since she attacks 3 times at least, the first attack is blunt, the second one is shadow, and the third one will be one of your choice, right? If you are using her skill number 2, that is shadow, it has E power, she will usually grind and farm in free quest. Yeah, 3 hits of E power equals triple S power. And that means that she will most likely grind stages that have multiple enemies and are weak to blunt and shadow. Now, you still have inheritance options. There is a 8 PP AoE attack from her passive style that is also fast. This skill here called the Hymn of the Night Wind, and it has C power and it's both blunt and shadow. If you have this one here, this is the best skill to use because you can use Magical Shower EX as formation, increase 15% of your damage, and still reign over both blunt and shadow with ease. So plenty of opportunity to make her even better. But new players will still probably allow to grind stages without that inheritance anyway. So if you have been collecting Schiele styles, I do believe that she is very good. She's also probably an upgrade over Eaglemal and may compete, at least when you just need debuff, with Aspergal. But Aspergal also buff breaks with the same skill that she debuffs, so she's usually better. But if you need double debuff, man, Schiele is going to be the second best alternative. If you think about that, I'm not so sure, but I believe that overall she's close to, yeah, tier 0 or tier 1, that being OP or triple S grade. We need to change the grading system, but she's a very good character and the one that got buffed anyway. The next character will be Zing. She has just 115% dexterity and 100% agility. Those are strange values. I guess the dexterity will be higher, but her agility is high enough, although she doesn't really need it high agility since she is just made for boss fight and not for farming anyway. Her endurance is low with 78 and will is 85. Those are low values, but nothing really dangerous. Now, when she's attacking, she gets a chase of multi-shot, an S-power attack with very high mod, and it also recovers 1 BP. So, your normal attack, and then your chase attack, so 5 BP per turn. She starts the fight with 13 as well. When you are attacking, she also buffs STR and dexterity by 15% for all surviving allies. That's actually 30% because she will attack at least 2 times, so she's also a buffer, and even though she does not use STR, she can be used on mixed squads, especially with spear-based units or any other type that matches the element that you want to use in the fight. Also, when she is using skill number 1, she gives herself a heat up that only works for skill number 1. So her skill number 1 gets stronger and stronger as time passes. It's good because it's a free skill, it's single target, and before she attacks, she buffs her dexterity by 25%, and then she attacks. Actually, she is already buffing by 30%, and then you see 55% buff, and then she attacks. So the skill is actually good, and will keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger. I just wish this heat up was for the whole kit, and not just skill number 1. Then she also buffs all status by 50% every turn. That means that 55% will actually become 70%, and when she's buffing everyone, at least by 30%, she's actually self-buffing 45% every turn. But this is on start of a turn, it's even before she attacks, so she can actually get some extra status to reduce damage taken and increase chance of survival or just sustain ailments or debuffs. Then she gets 30% damage reduction and 30% damage increase. So that's the only damage increase she has besides that heat up that works for skill 1. Now, besides skill 1, that is the one that gets the increased damage every time you are using it. The second skill is a 3-hit attack with deep power, and it grants pierce defense down for 2 turns. So this is interesting because this will stack and can be also taken advantage by other people in your party. On level 99, each hit will decrease the defense of the enemy by 20%. The skill itself is a little costly, but maybe if you have some BP batteries, this will help you use it more often. If she is your only damage dealer, well, this may not be so impressive, but if she has at least one companion, I do believe this will be very good. Then there is the second skill, a 13 BP S power AoE attack that can only be used once per battle. That before she attacks, she gives this black feather ally to herself. That is 50% chance to activate skill number 2. That is a passive that will stay for the whole fight. So even when using skill number 3, she already applies the passive, and she can follow up in the same turn. So one guaranteed chase and one extra chase with 50%. She has to open the fight with this. If she chases this when using skill number 2 later during the fight, well, that means that you will apply 6 defense down of minus 20% defense to pierce attacks to the enemy. And like I said, if you have another people in the party also doing pierce damage, this will really increase the damage potential. But Zing herself is already strong enough to take full advantage. And the only problem here is that she gets overall of 4 BP, and if you get the extra chase, that means 5 BP, right? So the best cycle is to always have 5 BP and then use skill number 2, then go back to skill number 1. Like I said, skill number 1 will get stronger, and she's still buffing dexterity, so it's not total waste. If she could use just skill number 2, it would be better, but well, she was designed so that her skill 1 also works. It's a character with very strong damage. I would not say that she's as strong as Shira, but you could say that she is better on long fights than someone like Urpina. Pierce damage is hard to find. I don't know if she deserves an OP grade, but she's pretty close to that, because that's how the game will be like that. All new damage dealers will do more than the past ones. There's no way for them to release weaker ones, unless it's a very specific character with added utility. Full nukers are very strong, and that's it with this character. But the good thing is that besides just nuking, she also buffs the party by STR and dexterity. So she gives some very interesting utility, but some boss fights you lose your buffs. That's okay. But, well, for bow remembrance, people do not really need Zing if they have, for example, latest list, then also Mireille and Labelle, but okay, they got even stronger with Zing in the party. But like I said, a very strong character, and it's made for one element that we don't have many competition. She will find competition in the current banner with Swift, Global X style, because such a strong damage dealer that also has cold damage. That's interesting, where she is just about pierce. Well, it's still an okay character to have, but will be overshadowed in probably 2 to 3 months by many other damage dealers that will go even higher. Now, Golden Ball is the last one. She has 120% endurance. She's a character focused on receiving less physical damage and has very bad will like all of her past styles. She still has 115% agility and 91 STR, and no other status matter too much. This time, she is not really a tank. She can still be one, but she enters stealth, and stealth decreases the chance of being targeted. Then she grants this defensive stance for all surviving allies that decreases skill damage. Those are the types of all physical skills. So for one turn, that particular turn, you decrease damage taken by 25%. There's also this broken defense to all enemies. This will decrease their defenses versus skills by 25%. This is something interesting that will make sense when we talk more about her skills. She also has damage reduction to everyone by 20% as long as all allies are alive. Yup, that's Scrum Guard, and when she attacks, she recovers 2 BP. Then damage taken reduces by 30% if it's skills, and damage taken reduces by 40% at all times. So 2 defensive layers, and as you can see, she was made to defend herself versus skills, and even kind of help you do more damage versus enemies when also using skills. Does that make sense to you? Well, for example, when you are running physical counters, like for example Julian and Human Male, they will counter physical attacks and they will counter with physical skills. So this skill set is made for them, to help them. And it will make even more sense once we discuss skill number 3. That's a 10 BP, one time per battle skill that grants the target this called Augue. Augue is the same passive that we saw in the past with Golden Ball. That is, once this character is attacked, you get 15% buff to all surviving allies endurance per hit. So she's now giving this passive to someone of your choice. Not just that, she'll also grant the target taunt. The taunt effect is medium and lasts for 10 turns. So imagine if you want to make your Julian or Human Male or any other counter specialist better. You will give them taunt, you will give them this passive where when they get hit, they will buff endurance of the party. They will do more damage because of the broken defense stance. The counter will also receive less damage by the shield, will also receive even less damage because of the Scroom Guard. So she is a specialist that allows your counter mechanics to become even better. Well, another character that will work super well in this team will be Leonard. Remember that Leonard also has something similar? Well, Leonard gives this Ready to Rumble passive, where when landing a direct attack, you'll be buffing your own STR and Endurance. Well, this is even better for the counter attacker, but everyone from the party can get the benefit. There's also this heat up effect that can trigger 5 times, so you are also increasing damage anyhow. So, another character to make those counter specialists better. Then she has a second skill that is 6 BP cost, and this one gives 1 BP to all surviving allies. Well, she gets 2 BP when attacking, meaning that she gets at least 5. After she uses skill 3, she'll just keep using this. Or skill number 1, that is Deep Power and grants herself Guard Up Small. That's not really that important. So, she gives that taunt and Augue passive, and then keeps giving BP to the party. That's her main gameplay. It's not really required to make your counters better. They can already solve their problems. You can just run Julian and he solves everything. Now, when we added Leonard to the squad, he started doing more damage. And now we add Golden Ball to the squad and we will survive better and do more damage as well. So, it's an added mechanic to a very no strategy. Well, I could not say that she's a must-have, but a very interesting and unique character that totally deserves a triple S grade, I would say. Sadly, endurance buffs are not as important as wheel buffs, hence why this is so good, but on the same time, skippable. But well, this is just my opinion. I believe both banners have interesting value. I'm still not fully decided upon which one is better, but from my personal opinion, I will go first for the Global X banner and try to get Swift as soon as possible. I will not try to get the other two if I get him fast, because I already have Merlot Syra. I don't need Tomo. If you don't have Merlot Syra, Tomo is very interesting for you. And now I will be switching to the Schiele banner, trying to get her, and then maybe Golden Ball, but I do not need Zing. So, both banners have good values. They are not must-haves. Well, you can still skip if you don't have gems, but they have very interesting options depending on what you're lacking. But, well, that's just my opinion. What is yours? Please say here in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this. Please subscribe if you haven't. If you want to support the channel, we have links on the description, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Bye.